morning and welcome to Dateline New Haven's Pundit Friday. I'm Paul Dash, your host, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make New Haven tick. Nothing ticks better than Pundit Friday, which we're about to begin here with the number
Do you have
one.
it turned up, Paul?
Is it turned up too high? Oh, the studio. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Nothing ticks better than Pundit Friday, which is about to begin here in the WNHH studio, running down the headlines from the week. We have the pundits like the dairy-free goddess of our grassroots radio operation, the belle of our ball, the managing editor of the Inner City News and host of WNHH's Love Babs.
Good afternoon, people.
Bob's Rolls
Afternoon.
Markeisha
Good morning.
Riggs is flying to point south. She's not with us today, but we miss her. But we do have the Queen of Quippery, Quintessence of Compassion, La Voz Hispana, publisher Norma Rodriguez Reyes.
¿Qué pasa?
It's great to see you always, Norma. You always make me happy every day. With WNHH station manager and heavy D Donald Trump devotee Harry Drost, the bravest man in New Haven, is behind the controls, and if we're lucky, he'll deign to bless us with his presence. And we have the preordained pastor and prophet of paradise, the DJ of deliverance, the filial force of fortuitous fomentation, the ouster of obstinance and ostentation, the savior of civility. Did you know that this man is the hurricane of heavily homilies, the conqueror of cannabis commerce? Oh. Did you know that he's the bright light of the New Haven night, the straight shooter from Bermuda, the mystical and metaphorical man on the money, tackler of tempestuousness and titan of temperance, the banisher of bilious bullies, prince of pleasantries and punctuality, sorcerer of scientific solution, the otherwise known as blessed beatboxer, bankster, and bacchanalians, father of a Yale graduate this weekend, Joe Ugly.
Oh, nice. Wow.
What's that like? Is there? Yeah, your mic's on.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because I can't hear my dad.
Oh, no, I hear you.
No, I hear him.
He's graduating for real, Joe?
Monday.
Are you sure there are no last minute papers he has to get in or anything?
I know. He went through that.
God, I feel like we just sent them off.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. Wow. You know, but 4 years. Zoom.
God.
Zoom.
That's too much.
And how much money?
Yeah, what does it feel like now that you're off the hook? Like, or is he going to med school or something?
Oh, you ain't
No.
never off the hook.
I'm off the hook. I'm way off the hook now.
So is this a weekend? You know how every weekend we feel like it starts now, so the street's getting blocked off. Yeah. It's not our city for 3 days. It's your city.
Right,
but
exactly.
Do you feel a little better when you get to like come in and see your kid graduate? Does it now feel like it's your city again?
Yeah, you know. Well, here's the deal. He's carrying the New Haven flag.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. So he's truly representing New Haven 100.
Are y'all having a big party? What's happening? What's the story?
As a matter of fact.
Because I didn't get my invite, so I'm just asking.
Yes.
You didn't get your invite?
No,
I got the invite.
Oh, you did? I didn't get an invite.
All right, Paul. I guess we know we know where we wait, right?
Wow.
The white man's ice is always colder.
That's right. 15 degrees. That's why we're so chilling like this. So tight. You got to turn up the volume.
You guys are laying it on real thick. Oh, man, I love it.
But how does it feel? Seriously, Joe, you've been in New Haven all these years.
Yeah.
You watch them take over the city every year for graduation.
Every
year.
year.
You're going to be the proud dad. You work so hard to bring up a kid. You love them. You make some mistakes. You do some things right. And then they're off to fly on their own. Well, maybe you didn't. The rest of us have. But I mean, now you're watching him ready to fly on his own with a Yale degree. What does that feel like, man?
Actually, it is a good feeling to see that I'm very happy for. You know, it's just to watch how he has evolved into a good young man. Very good young man. I think he's going to be an asset to society. That's what I always say. You know, when people say, you know, you're doing a good job, I always say, whoa. Wait until then he's 25 and he becomes an asset to society. Then
what's he going to be doing after graduation?
Oh, he's actually in the film business. I said film.
I remember
you can't say
that.
film
He's
anymore.
video.
He's in video.
Yeah, Dad, that's just an old-fashioned.
I know. I said film, but they still call it. They still tag it as film, but in certain circles. But
so is he going to do documentaries or dramas?
Well, you know, he was doing the docuseries that was on the New York Times and all that stuff. Entitled. I'm blank here.
It's okay, man. We're getting old.
Something now. Yeah.
So that's what he's going to be doing, pursuing a career.
Well, he is pursuing a career in that.
Does he do directing, acting, writing?
Yes. No, he's not the acting part. He's more into directing and producing, and he's very good. Now in Color, that's the name of it. It's you can look it up in the New York Times.
About students of color in campuses, right?
Absolutely. It's about it evolved. It went from Black student experience at Yale, and then different Ivy Leagues across the country, and now after graduating from Ivy League and your
And
experience.
he kind
on
of
the
got a
real
little
world.
bit from Dad being a producer. I mean, you produce music, you produce radio. So
But I think that's where he wanted the bug from, the producing bug. But I think what it is, he wanted to have his own lane, so he got into the film, opposed to the audio.
and this is the
You know,
golden
so-
age.
Yeah,
of
it is.
auteurs, as they call them, with all this video. So anyway, congratulations, Joe.
No, thank you very much. I see him doing a lot of stuff with. Believe it or not, that generation is who's going to take podcasts to the
Oh, no
next
question.
level,
question.
and he's right at the forefront of it. And he has some great names lined up for him. He has some stuff that people in the film industry and in the movie industry altogether having stuff lined up already, having options at this point.
Well, there's also a lot of
usually-
beats to fill with all the streaming services, and
Right.
whether it's audio and video, they need a lot of quality content. There's a lot of
Yeah.
money being made, and a
Which
lot
is
of
what I
creativity.
love. I
Right.
love that.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of creativity out
Yeah.
there.
And now, in today's world, they have options. Whereas before, there weren't
Yeah.
much options. You were just in
If
Hollywood,
you're,
New
if you're
York,
good,
and hit
you're
'em
going
in.
to rise.
Right, exactly. But the thing, this does require you to be able to do some things. I feel very comfortable where he's going to be in life. And if not, you always got a mountain to fall back on.
All right. Well, Joe Ugly has a lot of reason to be proud this morning. But on the other side,
Poor mothers.
so Joe Ugly might have reason to be proud.
Yeah.
But if you have anything to do with the Hamden Legislative
Oh.
Council, you
Oh.
are hiding your head in shame this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
This was the most bozo night I think I've seen in local government since I can remember. Do you folks know what happened last night?
No, what?
Right.
Please
1
tell
in the
me.
morning. Okay, so every year a town
Oh,
has to pass a
yeah.
budget, right?
Well,
It's over
passed
$200
that
million.
one.
It's the
This
most
is Hamden.
yeah, it's the most important thing you do all year is the budget, right?
Right.
So they've taken it very seriously, this legislative council. They've gone for weeks and weeks with all-night hearings saying, I don't like the add those police officers there. I think you guess too much money's coming in. Yale's never going to give us $100,000, right? So they're trying to get it just right. They're trying to keep that mill rate right under 50 because they think that's a threshold not to cause all this, fighting back and forth and personalities, but also issues. And they're, losing sleep to get it all right. So last night they had to have their final vote because the deadline is by the end of today, they have to pass the budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they argue for 7 more hours.
Mm-hmm.
1 in the morning, they take a vote.
Mm-hmm.
And they voted to pass their version of a budget. Yay. So then after you visit your budget, they're all really tired, right? They kind of not figure what you're doing. And believe me, before I make fun of these guys, just so you know, I could never do this job because after 7 hours of that, I would not know my name.
I
After
couldn't.
7
Which
hours,
would be
there,
the
though.
1 hour.
Our reporter was there.
Oh, okay.
And he's young, so he can keep.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yes.
Smart man.
Okay, so 1 in the morning, they
Yeah.
pass it. Yay, we finally did this after months. We got our budget in.
Yeah.
Okay, now after you pass a budget, apparently, I didn't know this, you have to make a couple procedural votes.
Uh-huh.
So you have to proceed to adopt what you just passed. So they have their procedural vote, right? And it was a 1 vote difference, so they had to have all their votes in line. So one woman, I won't say her name, embarrassing. She got confused. She thought she was voting again,
Oh, Lord.
on
Black
the budget.
Jesus.
right? And she had abstained. So she voted no because she thought she was against what the mayor had proposed.
Oh my God!
So because of
they
that,
had to
all
go
of a sudden,
back through.
no, they can't. So now it was 7 to. So here's what at 1 in the morning, they now had a 7-7 vote
Oh,
rather than a
Lord.
7-6 vote on whether to adopt the budget they just passed. You can't pass it on a 7-7. It was done. They have to. So they have now. All that work they did has gone to hell, and the mayor's original budget is the budget. Now they have until midnight tonight to pass if they want to do something different, but you have to notice a meeting 24 hours in advance. It was now 23 hours until
Oh,
midnight.
My God.
So they would have to meet at 11:59 hours too late.
So, wow.
Wow.
And this is going for the whole year, for the next year.
I know that mayor's like, thank you.
Yeah.
I texted this morning. I said, that's the cleverest way I've ever seen a mayor get his budget when the people are against you.
Depending on the stupidity of the elected officials. Yeah.
And I know
we
it's
can go
fun to
with
say
that.
stupidity. I don't want to say the woman's name.
Oh, all
and
right.
And
all
I
right.
feel like, no, I did it, Babs, not you.
Oh, okay.
But I do have to say, I would do the exact same thing. When you look at when I was tired this morning, I edited the article and I left in a phrase that I thought I'd taken out and made no sense. An hour later, someone writes and say, I don't even know what the article is. So here I am making fun of the politicians where they voted 1 in the morning and we couldn't even put in.
So we
But
can't
here-
say we don't know
No,
who the
no, no.
politician is
No, no,
because
we
it's
do.
against.
Her
Well,
name's
hold-
in the article in the
Oh,
picture.
all right.
But hold on, Paul. What you wrote is not going to affect people's lives for a year. What she did is, okay?
And plus, you can change it real quickly, right?
And if
Exactly.
and if they mad at Paul and not at her,
Right, exactly.
they are stupid.
Exactly.
And then, plus,
Get
I don't,
it right.
I don't have to wait 24 hours to fix it because we luckily don't have those laws
that's
about
right.
public notice. So I don't know if they're going to come up with anything today. Sam Gurvett was up our
Well, it's
report until
impossible
5 in
to.
the
They
morning
can't.
writing it. Well, they have some things they can do where they can have
Child.
hearings on certain. They think they can claw back a few things. So like the mayor wanted 7 new cops for
Okay.
community policing,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
to
they
take them
said,
from New Haven, right?
and they said, oh yeah, of course,
Oh, of course.
they've been getting them off from New Haven, including the guy who shot up the car.
oh my goodness.
So they said that they think
What is
that,
Harry
yeah,
doing
Harry
to my
put you
picture?
upside down.
I go, what is he doing?
Oh,
There
you
you
know,
go.
that's Harry having fun.
Welcome back. So
I'm
they
doing
said
head
that they
flip.
think there are maneuvers you could do on little pieces of the budget. They think they can have a hearing and then still take away those cops because they say that we want community policing too, but it's not about walking beats specialized. It's about having everyone walk. We can't afford these
whatever.
extra people, whatever. So they think that there are pieces they'll be able to claw back over coming months, but they blew it.
You know, they're not gonna like this spotlight on them. They
But-
wanted,
Yeah.
they
but-
wanted this, but they wanted. Oh, we want to be independent. We want. They're
Right.
not gonna like it when this kind of stuff happens.
And
to
it's all
them.
wrapped up in the mayoral race. So you know how mayoral seasons are. Someone on the
Right.
council with the support of some council members are running
Who-
against the
whose
incumbent.
team is she on? She's anti this man.
Yeah, so they had gotten together the 7-6 vote to undo the mayor's budget.
She's
and then all of a
against the
sudden,
mayor, but then end up messing up. But here's the
Helping
thing, Paul.
mayor.
Here's what I gotta
I was
ask.
like, I can't tell the way you voted that you're against this man.
Really? If you judge politicians by how they vote, she's definitely not against them. Okay. But here's what I want to know: is it realistic for Hamden to have cops walking the beat?
well, that's what they're saying.
And where would they walk?
Hamden has
That's
half.
what I want to know.
Hamden has half our population at 4 times the size of
Mhm.
land.
Right.
So they have so much more. So the mayor says it's not realistic for most of them to get out and walk. We want to have a few dedicated people in the densest parts of town.
Listen, if they stayed off that New Haven-Hamden border, they might be able to police the rest of
Yeah.
this city.
Really?
So this is actually,
Thank you.
you know,
FYI.
Joe. I think Joe's bringing up a very interesting question that I have to tell you before I explain it.
They're guarding their
I don't
borders.
have an answer. I think both sides have really interesting points. And
I
we
want
have
a
the same-
wall on that New Haven-Hamden
Yeah.
border.
So we
Yeah, 'cause
we
you
just
got
took
too
it
many
down at
people
Brookside.
guarding it.
We
I
just
know.
took down the wall at Brookside.
No, I want to hire one for the New Haven-Hamden line, like right there on the Dixwell.
So this community policing debate is taking place in New Haven too, because we feel like we can't afford as many cops as we used to have, and we don't have as many. So one idea is that community policing is to have walking beats everywhere, and you get to know the cop.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't always happen in practice. They switch around a lot, whatever.
Mhm.
There's another theory that says if you're the kind of cop who's going to get to know people, you're going to get out of your car and walk sometimes. You're going to drive your stuff other times. And if you're the kind of cop who won't, you're going to go hide behind the wall or just kind of like take
Mhm.
phone calls in the
Right.
store. And that it's more importantly how you deploy them. That's not realistic. And especially in Hamden, we have so much more ground to cover. But then Kurt Lang, the mayor, says there are parts of town where we're most disengaged. So they just had a poll in Hamden where by 5-to-1 measure, people in town say the cops do a good job. We have good experiences. But it was only almost half and half of black residents. They've had so many bad experiences. So he said, we have to do better to make those connections. So why don't we put walking beats?
Geographically, where's that?
Southern Hampton, right by the border.
Right.
So he's
but
saying,
actually,
like-
it's more than Southern now. We have to look that have
You're right.
expanded big time in the last 10, 15
right.
years.
So he's saying, let's put them in the southern end of town at some
Mhm.
neighborhoods and at the community center and have them doing good stuff with people.
Get them off that New Haven border,
Yeah, yeah.
right there on New Hall.
And then the other
Newhallville.
side
More
says,
street.
the other side says that's over policing. So that's been the backlash to community policing that says we want cops everywhere looking at little problems to fix and get to know people. But then there's this opposite tension that says you're over policing our community. We don't need cops everywhere like our schools.
Mhm.
The mayor says we do need them in the schools. We want to have good relationships developed. So it's not an easy question. You never know.
But
where
do they
people are
have
gonna fall
do they
down.
have a problem with that? See, I'm torn about cops in schools.
So am I.
Because that just speaks to furthering that the school to prison pipeline to me. Because when you get kids used to seeing that kind of governance over them, or what do you want to call it?
No, you said it right.
Controlling
yeah,
the
No,
control.
No, you said it right. Governance.
Yeah.
Don't run from that. That is one of the best examples I've heard because that's exactly what it is. Because they're looking at adults as governing bodies, and when you see it comes from someone with a pistol on their
gun.
hip,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, what is the message are we really sending our kids?
yeah,
And that is we in the long term
troubled by
psyche of that.
that.
I do gotta say, it is a little better than having teachers armed like Florida is. Jeez.
Can you imagine, like,
Are
What-
they suggesting
what's the
that?
answer, Johnny? 9 divided by 2 times 3.
I told you do your homework. I told you do your homework. Don't sit in my car.
Don't blame me now that I have to take some action.
I'm gonna do what your parents won't do.
And I know subtraction real good. I'm about to subtract you from this class. Like, what?
And remind you that you listen to Pundit Friday, where the best minds in the media universe and I talk about the headlines of the week. So, Norma Rodriguez Reyes, were you showing? Perhaps you weren't there this week when the mayoral candidates had their first debate that wasn't called a debate, right?
I couldn't stomach that.
What'd you think of that, Norma?
When I walked into the room,
yes,
It's Maura Sheridan,
yes,
very crowded.
Yes,
yeah,
because it was even the bleachers were full.
Standing room only.
You couldn't find
that's
an
what I
empty
heard.
seat.
People were
That's what I
psyched
heard.
to hear what these four candidates had to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they're all colors. You know, it's not like years ago you went someplace and they're only, you know,
Yeah.
in
Yes.
Dixwell they're all
That's
African
true.
Americans.
Although I didn't see many Latinos.
There were quite
Okay.
a few. The problem is that nowadays you can't tell who the Latinos are.
Oh, pause.
Oh,
Time
you
out.
can't.
But
You
time out.
don't
No.
I'm not gonna touch that.
No, I am.
But she said
No,
that's a
no.
problem. Cassandra
Exactly.
Rodriguez
It's not
says
a
good morning.
problem.
Good morning, Cassandra.
It's an observation. Is that the observation is you can't tell the difference. Not the problem is. That was loaded.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe,
the observation.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
Norma,
the
what did you think?
observation.
Norma, what did you think about the debate itself? So Tony Harp's the incumbent. Now Seth Poole wasn't there because he's running as an independent.
Mhm.
But we
Right.
had the other Democrats, people trying to get Democratic nominations.
Who's running? I don't-
Justin Elliker,
Mhm.
who
Oh,
ran
yes,
the
I
Land
for- I
Trust,
forgot.
ran against her last time. Ern Pendragon,
Yes,
who's
who had
running-
on a very nice outfit, I must
she
say.
did, and Wendy Hamilton. So
I
what
don't
did you-
know Wendy Hamilton. Is she the
philanthropist?
one that's
Would
always
you like-
commenting? Wendy
Would you-
won?
Yes. Would you like to meet Wendy?
No.
Oh,
Okay, so Norma, what do you think?
Well, I found it
interesting.
informative in a way because we have like the 2-season pop that been there, done that already,
Mhm.
which is Justin
Harp and Elliker.
and Tony Harp. The other two are completely novice in this whole world of politics,
Right.
and just their how they view things and
Mhm.
how they see things. It's really
But
interesting.
what's kind of sick is you had Justin Harp sitting in one place and Tony Harp, Justin Elliker, and they're like, they have campaign teams. They're really going to get votes. They have money. They have advisors and experience. So they're thinking about every question hard. How am I going to answer this so I really know what I'm talking about and that I can get the kind of people I need to win an election. Then next to them, then Wendy and Ern would go, and it was a little bit like you went on your cable channel over the,
Yeah.
I won't say necessarily UFO, but it was kind of interesting, different universe that was kind of coming out. And it was bad, and they were having a great time. They were loose. They were, but I think a theme emerged for this
Right.
campaign, and it was very clear what the theme is.
What is the theme?
And there are two arguments that are going to decide this election,
There's
and they were
always
on
two
display.
arguments.
One argument is Tony Harp's. New Haven is going great, better than we've ever seen it. She feels her government has had a lot to do with it, from the idea that we have so much building going on, so many new jobs, lower unemployment, she says a lower graduation rate, but more importantly, there's just so much great stuff happening in the city, and she feels her government has a lot to do with it. So she feels we have the experience we've done a long time. Let's keep it going. Of course, there are problems. There are always problems, challenges,
Mhm.
but we've shown that we can take care of problems. Let's keep going. Justin Elliker's point was, okay, a lot of great things happen in New Haven, but it's not hitting the neighborhoods enough. It's uneven. And he feels government's going off the rails, whether it's the Board of Ed that's broken, whether it's the police department that has a complete exodus, whether he's very critical of some of the spending in the city. And he says, while the people in the city are doing a good job, the government's failing, and we need a complete course correction. So rather than stay the course, we got to change course. The rest is commentary, and there's a lot we can say about the issues. There are a lot of people in New Haven who feel both ways, and I
That's
think
fine.
that's going to test that.
I think it's fine to feel both ways.
No, I'm
Right.
saying either one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's
No,
what's
and
going
that
to
is
decide
both
this
ways.
election. Is it a change election, or is it a things are going great, let's keep it going election?
I think when we look at the picture from a full standpoint, I mean, where do I see it? I would look, first of all, the mayor is correct when she said it's always room for improvement. She's absolutely correct. Now, if there's things that needs changing as such, like what Elka, you just said, Elka highlighted in the police department, Board of Ed, those are real issues. Okay. But do we have police shooting? That's my concern.
Well, she talks
Do
about
we have-
she talks about us having the lowest crime rate we've had in decades.
Exactly.
He talks about a problem brewing when you've had 50 or more cops and no contract for 3 years.
Understand, but that
Right, so that's what I'm saying. It's a fair
and-
debate.
Okay, I clearly understand. But when I vote, I'm voting my interest at that point. Of course, having more cops out there is good, but how is the police treating my community?
And it's
it
also a generational thing. So one movement, I don't know if Norma found this interesting. There was kind of a softball question,
Mhm.
a kind of fun one-word, two-word question that I found to be the most revealing of the night about the candidates. And that question was, what's your favorite place to go in Westville?
In Westville.
In
Well,
Westville.
that's-
It's a Westville debate.
Oh,
Westville, West Hills.
Okay.
So they...
I like New West, but
so
that's just me.
I know you do. So this is...
but now
that's a nice
Manhattan's.
place.
Sorry.
So that you're going to be interested in this now. So this is the one question that even though they might not have been prepared for, they all answered instantly because they had real answers. And four different kinds of answers about four different kinds of people in campaigns.
Mhm.
So Tony said Ernie's Pizza. Ernie's Pizza's been around since 1971.
I used to take my kids up there. That's
We
all the way
all
up the
did.
hill, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good
And
pizza.
there's
Nice
argument about whether it's
people.
technically Westville because it's 2 inches over line. But anyway, she says, now if you think about Ernie's Pizza, that's a very unpretentious place that's been around a long time,
Mhm.
solid. People, they have generations long relationships.
Very nice people
So
there.
she went there since she was a kid.
Yep.
With her kids were kids, I mean.
Yep.
Mhm.
And they've gone there for decades, special occasions. It's a real New Haven place that people around a long time know each other, and it's sort of a solid New Haven continuity. So Elliker says Mount Horace, which is the bistro across
Mhm. I like
from
Mount Horace.
We
But
like
they-
all,
you know,
we
they-
like all these places.
I do. I like all these
So the
places.
reason I thought that was interesting is because Elliker is trying to appeal to the newer New Haven,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the change. That there's a change election. So Mount Horace came into business 10 years ago,
Yep.
serving the people who have moved into New Haven.
Mhm.
So I would argue people go to Ernie's and more likely to vote for Tony, and people go to Manhattan's and more likely to
That's
vote for
interesting.
Justin.
So
Now there's
I-
overlap.
What is
I don't know.
overlap.
Manhattan?
Is
Is
that-
that
I don't know
Manhattan?
about
Is
that.
that a
But it's
Spanish
interesting.
place or
Well, the woman is Hispanic, but the crowd isn't mostly, although she does
Yeah.
stuff like great guacamole and
Right.
sangria.
And she's
But
got a bar
Open
now.
burritos.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Naked burritos.
And I'm
I
not
love
knocking
those.
anything at all. I'm
Right.
saying that these are different kinds of constituencies.
Although
Right.
I think I would argue that point because I think people who go to Manhattan's would vote for Tony. Are Tony's people?
Maybe you're right. We'll see. I mean, I kind of see that it's a mix. You can't say everybody,
Yeah.
but the market they were meeting were the newer, younger
Yeah.
families. And the
So what
people
did the
I-
other two people say?
And I will
Did
get
they even
that's fun.
know?
Yes, they did. They really did.
Oh.
And so I think Manhattan's, I think you're right that and some Ernie's people would vote against Tony. I'm just saying that in general they kind of represent different constituencies.
I can see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
And then
I
and
got
then
you.
Yeah.
Wendy Hamilton, who
Yeah.
I say her campaign is a combination of Lenny Bruce,
Lena's.
Wavy Gravy, you know, the hippie clown,
Yeah.
and Mother Jones, Hellraiser, right? She's a baby boomer. She said Strange Ways. She didn't miss a beat. Strange Ways is this kind of hippie boutique
Yeah.
that has like wild flair.
Yeah, but you can't get a drink in there.
Right. And then Ern
You're frequent
Pendragon
West
is
can't go to
running.
prayer meeting there?
Ern Pendragon is running based on someone who's been homeless a lot in her life, unemployed, transgender, who likes public spaces and help, who's running on affordable housing and green jobs.
Yeah.
And she said Edgewood Park.
Oh.
Now, isn't that
I
interesting?
liked all these. I like that these people
So I
had real
thought
answers
that I
to
thought this
that.
is so funny because it was so important. All the other issues, questions, they kind of the people who have the best chances of winning kind of craft their answers. They believe what they're saying, but they're also trying to figure out how to say it so they can win and appeal to people. But that was a very naked, open answering
Yeah, but they
process
couldn't.
that was
They
revealing.
But
they
you-
couldn't have that same conversation in like Newhallville.
But you know what I found very
they couldn't ask
interesting?
that question in Newhallville.
If you noticed all the different people that
True,
were
and
asking
I
the
wonder
question,
why.
those were all the cheers, the co-cheers of the different
Democratic
wards
ward
that
co-chairs,
were
yeah.
sponsoring that. So,
See, this
they
is where the
really all came
disparity-
together.
this
You
is
know,
where the
Babs,
disparity
I want
for
to
me
ride.
is.
I want to ride that because I want to
Right.
ride that
'Cause
statement
this is
because
when
Norma
that is
finished
so
what she was
true.
saying because I
Yes,
think
I'm
Norma was
finished.
making a
I'm
point
finished.
towards
I thought she
Chapman.
was finished.
Exactly.
See,
I
that's
thought you
where the
was too.
disparity
My-
with all of this is.
Yep.
That you could have this debate in Westville
No.
and say, where in Westville would you go? But
Yes.
if you had this debate in
In
Newhallville
Newhallville.
or Dixwell, what would you say?
Johnny Bodega.
What would you say?
Exactly. What would you say?
Some
And
people would
this is
say
it-
Amistad High. Some would say the Eddie's Barbershop. Some would say Science Park. And other people say that's not really
you know, but
Newhallville.
yeah,
No,
Is that really
no, but
Newhallville?
Seriously?
no. That's not.
You think that these people would say that?
really?
And what about
That-
the
that-
hill?
Well,
That
you want to know?
was-
I have. You want to
Really?
hear?
People
but
go
then,
in the
you
hill.
know, the hill would be like you'd go to Kevin Seafood. You'd
Right.
go to like there's
Yes,
places
there's
in the
places
hill.
You want to
in the
hear
hill.
something funny about your point? So Ern Pendragon at one point talked about Westville, and she mentioned something in Newhallville because she didn't realize it wasn't in Westville.
Oh,
She's been involved with Mothers for Justice, the Christian
Okay.
community action group that organizes welfare moms.
uh-huh.
Mhm.
They have a facility at 660 Winchester where they lost funding for. And she mentioned that as a Westville place. So that I heard the most reaction I heard after the debate, mostly from African American people, but also white people, was how does she not know that Winchester Avenue is not Westville?
Oh.
But to your point, she did mention someplace in Millville. The other part about your point was the question actually wasn't where do you like to go in Westville? The question was, Where do you like to go in Westville, West Hills, West Rock?
Oh.
Because these were the wards of the whole far west side, and everyone mentioned Westville.
Oh. That's
even
very
better.
telling. Now that
Yes.
gets even better because we're
And who votes? I mean, the number of votes is so much
Yes.
higher in wards 26 and
You
25.
got
and
Exactly.
1,500
27
voters.
Than in 28,
Exactly.
29. I mean, 29 and 30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
wow.
So that was kind of revealing.
That is very revealing. I hope somebody digs deeper into that.
I
Well,
think
we
they
just
should've-
did.
Well, I saw,
What are you kidding me?
Kim Harris from the Northern Management Team. She said, "How can we get this to New Hallville?" So if she does an event like that, I hope they ask that question.
See,
Babs.
Kim Harris is always thinking. Like she's
Always.
always on this kind of
Not only thinking,
forward
but thinking in a way to do something that she's then going
Yes.
to do.
Right.
Yes.
Hey, Babs, one place, the barbecue place there on Winchester. Oh, jeez, it escaped me right now.
Ricky D's.
Ricky D's. Now that's the place. Oh man, I could give him
Well,
this
you know,
guy
so
free
But
yes,
around
ads,
the
but
corner,
yes,
Fussy Coffee.
but that's all in one cluster.
And
Yeah.
Concat. So
And-
that's the
and
other
Orchid
question.
Cafe.
Is that New Hallville? So technically,
is.
Science Park is New Hallville.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It's
We're
not
not
in the
giving it
hood.
up.
It's not in the hood.
No,
Is that it?
it don't gotta be
Well,
in the hood.
Well, it's not the.
It's,
Well,
it's not in the heart
well,
of New
why
Hallville.
is it in the hood?
Of course.
Because Winchester.
Yes, of
because
course.
all of that was the hood.
Yep.
So when did it not become the hood? Because you got the Muncie Triangle right there, right? So it's
Right. You're
I don't know
right.
what happened to your. Why don't we hear you for
Your
a
mic
second?
just went. No, your mic went out. Not
Yeah,
the,
I didn't do
not the
anything here. I
headphone.
don't know what happened to you. Okay.
There you go.
oh,
There you
that's
go.
why. Okay.
because you got that Munson Triangle right there,
Right.
which is slowly starting to be less about
New Hallville,
yeah,
Dixwell.
starting
Yes,
to
you're
look
right.
more
you
and
know
more
what?
like Georgetown every minute.
But wait,
Yep.
wait. There are two
It's so
sides to
true.
that. That's such an interesting point. That's at the border of New Hallville and Dixwell. Everyone thinks it's total gentrification that's happening there, partly because there is a California developer who's taking a vacant factory and putting 200 market rate apartments, which definitely will be more like Georgetowny. Although I think people exaggerate how wealthy people are going to be who move there.
Oh no,
But-
I don't think
But
wealthy
you
people
go
are going to move
across the
there at
street.
all.
You go across the street where Kay's Hair is, right
Yeah.
around there. New NHR is a company that built housing that is actually for working class families.
I thought they stopped working. I ride the trail all the time. I don't see any construction.
Right,
going.
that's because the partners had a fight. They've now settled it, and all the
And
money
now they're
went-
going to rev
now
it
they're
back
gonna-
up,
now they're
right?
gonna rev it back up.
Okay, all right.
But I'm
because
saying
the
that
dirt was getting
across from
dirty.
that, there were a bunch of housing created behind the old Cardinals that now has working families in it, and down the street,
I don't know if it's working families.
or individuals and couples,
Yeah.
whatever. And then the Beulah Heights has a nonprofit, the church, and they're also doing affordable housing.
Yes, and
Both
they
on
and
the
they've
block
been
and at the
doing
end of the
it.
block, and
They've
they're going to
been
do it on a
doing
bigger
yeah.
scale if they get to show greats. So I'm not convinced. I could be wrong. I know. Become a Pollyanna on this. I'm not convinced that New Hallville is going to be weakened or there'll be less affordable housing. I
Paul-
think there's actually going to be more.
Well, I don't know.
No,
I guess
And
because I
there's
see
gonna
so
be a
many,
mix.
I see so
No.
many white folks jogging and dogs and baby buggies.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because that goes from Hamden.
No.
to downtown.
That's
no,
on
no,
Henry
no, no.
Street.
That's on the Henry Street. Look, I literally see people
That's
coming
on
over
Yeah,
the
the
from
people
the
from
Winchester.
Hamden do not cross over the border.
Yeah.
No,
I
no,
see
I'm talking
people.
New
about the
Haven
canal
is across the
trail.
border.
Yeah, we're
The
talking about the
canal
canal trail. Yes, I'm on the canal trail. I can tell you. I ride my bike up and down that thing. And I can tell
still
you,
ride your
I look
bike?
at people, absolutely. I see people going over from the Winchester loft onto the trail. I see people coming out, or they're going towards the climbing, the rock climbing place
Yes,
over there.
yeah.
Okay, I see that. That's the activity, and we all know it's like trail, the rock climbing, and that stuff. It's not skewed towards our community at all. And yes, Babs, you're right, Paul. Just because you see a few sprinkle does not mean it represents
I agree.
a large amount.
So here's the
And
question. There's no
I'm
question.
not coming at you, by the
No,
way.
no, you're right. You're right.
You're gonna see a few sprinkles like what's on Munson Street and what that stuff. You're gonna still see ownership, minority ownership in New Hallville, but the majority, I'm giving it like 85%. It's gonna be up. It's gonna be the right number when you look in the next 10, 15 years.
I'm
I
looking
agree
forward
with
to
that.
seeing what Eric Clemens does with Concat Corp.
And he's doing a lot with Dixwell Plaza.
I'm looking forward
and
to that and how it links up with what Titus is doing with Next
2
Haven.
blocks away with
I
the
think
artist
that's going to
studios.
be Harlem. It's going to be like reimagined
Right,
Harlem.
Don't say
Will-
Harlem because Harlem was totally. When
Well, I
I
mean
said
Harlem before white folks got in there.
urban renewal, black folks removal.
Well,
Come
this
on,
is a
let's
great
stop. That's
question.
what it
So, like
means.
all over the country,
Yeah.
traditionally black neighborhoods and cities
Mhm.
have
Look at
become,
Oakland.
have become whiter.
Right.
Oakland.
Oakland,
Right.
for
Oakland,
example.
Washington,
Right.
Harlem. So all over the country and smaller communities too. So the question here to me is, Is this something to fear? Because let's
Yes,
say,
it is.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you one scenario and tell me if you think this might be wrong. And I don't mean to disagree with you. I really don't. I'm asking the question.
Good.
I watched a whole separate cycle of this with overbuilding and upscale, and I think people exaggerate how much money they're gonna make. Like I think that whole factory they filled with $3,000 a month apartments on Winchester Avenue in Science Park, I think they're going to lose their shirts eventually, and it's going to be mid-market housing. I think same with Munson Street in the end. I'm wondering if in the end there will be just as many, if not more, African Americans in the neighborhood, but still your percentages will be right. A lot of the new housing will be middle-class people. I don't think it's going to be rich people. Middle-class people, including some African Americans, but a lot more white or Asian, right? And that overall, the neighborhood will be less, because it was almost 100% African American at one point in that neighborhood. In the end, there'll be as many African Americans, maybe more than now, but the percentage will become a lot more like 25%.
Can I
right?
just interject?
And there'll be new investment in taxes. Will that be bad?
Okay, here's my standing on why I say this number and how it's going to tie in.
I'm agreeing with your numbers, by the way.
No. I know you are, but here's my full lead, very brief. There's two letters that's going to affect this whole game. AI, artificial intelligence. The workforce is going to change dramatically. More people are going to be working from home. The people who are going to be able to afford those type of homes are going to be more, that working class that you talk about, it's going to be skewed more in that direction. So when you look at it, those numbers, it would be more minority removal out of that area.
But is anyone getting removed? Do you think there's going to be a single African American who will lose a home?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think people who are working at the Amazon distribution center that's coming will be able to live in that neighborhood?
Yes.
No.
I do. I'm looking at the houses, that neighborhood housing services.
Why?
When I go to the houses that have been rebuilt, neighborhood housing services bought by black homeowners, there are people who are working local 35 jobs at Yale and local 34 jobs at Yale, working at the hospital. That's who I meet there. And I don't see a single project proposed that is replacing a single unit of housing. Okay. I don't see a single. Now, I could be wrong. Everything new is going on vacant land. Now, the fear is that it drives up rents and pushes out the homeowners who can't afford to live there anymore. And that's how we lose black population and working class population.
Right.
My argument is that people so exaggerate the potential for profit that you actually have the big vacant 660 Winchester. No one's rushing to buy that. You still have the catty corner block that 5 pieces that had knocked down of contiguous land that's vacant, that got knocked down buildings, has never been reinvested in. Even where they're building those 200 apartments on Munson Street, that's been vacant for 50 years, I think. Yeah, and it was toxic, had to be cleaned up. It's not like tomorrow you have to worry that all these other housing can build down, or even that you're going to find so many people who are rich who are going to want to live there. I think I'm rooting for those places. I'm rooting for those places to succeed and get people who are working at Amazon, people who might be working all different kinds of jobs, living together in new places, while Beulah succeeds, while NHR succeeds, while K's customers move in, while the Monterey project continues to be strong. I think.
Well, let me ask you a question, Paul. You raised a heck of an interesting part of the question now, Babs. But let me expand on that. What type of workers do you anticipate working at Amazon?
Low wage to low medium.
And what's low wage?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. We're hoping it's a
what does it cost? What's a basic apartment in this city?
Right now, we just
have anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500 for most of them. Right.
Right. So unless we're talking about
how much do you have to make
housing
to pay for that?
Exactly.
Like how much do you have to make to pay for?
And especially if you're trying to have
$2,500 worth of rent.
And it's more than that, because that's where you're starting at for just 2 bedrooms. You have 3 kids. What are you going to do at that point?
No question, and that's the big challenge that we're trying to face even in this mayoral election. One of the big issues is, should we make it easier to put mother-in-law apartments, smaller places built that cost less to get reimbursed? Or do we want to promote, I've always liked the neighborhood services, housing services model, where they, through kind of grants and tax credits at historic homes, they rebuild houses nicely and then get the cost down through these grants and tax credits, so that you do need union jobs or living wage jobs. Like what Robin Porter this week, she got passed through now the House, and now the Senate's going to be signing a minimum wage increases. No question, we got to get those working wages up, and even $15 an hour is not going to do it.
No,
right?
We know that.
But there's no substitute for lifting wages that people afford to live in this housing. But we are looking at how do we drive down the cost of housing somewhat. And, maybe we'll figure it all out by the end of Pundit Friday, which you're listening to right now at WNHHFM 103.5 live streamed at newhavenindependent.org. So another campaign issue this week, Justin Elicker said Yale should do what UConn does, what Gateway does, and what Southern does. They should give all their students passes so they could ride city buses and trains. It's called the U-Pass. Instead of running a separate...
You mean you want those Yale students to fraternize with community?
Rather than running a separate shuttle system that's basically apartheid in New Haven. Economic
Mixed
apartheid.
emotions. It's like my
and
worst
our
enemy.
bus system is so struggling in part because the DOT, Department of Transportation, is the Department of Cars and not buses or bikes or walkers, so they never really brought it to this century because they don't give a damn. But partly because Yale siphons off so much of the traffic in ways they could be like Cornell or like Gateway or like Southern, where they want their people to strengthen the local bus system by being partners. Now, Tony Harp said, when I told her about Elicker's idea, she said she'd rather it went the other way. She'd rather, now that Yaleys are living in parts of town they never lived in before, like Westville more so than before, Newhallville even, she'd like to see the Yale shuttle expanded through town have all the New Haven people, because you can wink and nod, especially if you're white, to get on the Yale shuttle. Just have it known that Yale is going to run the bus system for the city in a private way. The problem would we have routes best for the Yaleys or not? But Yale will never do it, some people think, because part of their selling point to professors and students is that we got our own transit system. You don't have to mix with the city. We'll get you where you need to go.
And you just said it. There is no will for them or interest or benefit to them in their estimation. I mean, these are the people that put vanity retail spaces in that they know damn well.
So they're saying, please don't shop here, Babs.
Right. Yes. So because they know they don't want New Haven to be a part of Yale,
and they're willing not to make the money on the rent because they have the 100-year plan.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. So the other question is, I was reading in The Economist that some cities around the world are experimenting with. Ready for this? I know everyone makes fun of me and Bernie Sanders when we say free stuff. They say some cities around the world, I wish I could remember the examples, have gone toward a completely free bus system.
I just read that somewhere in Europe.
Yeah. And so they say it pays off. They say it pays off because it's such a boon to business.
I just read that somewhere.
People come move in, the businesses start, and you make the tax money.
No. Here's the difference between U.S. and Europe. It's their public transportation runs on time. It is it's like clockwork. You could set your watch to it. I'm dead serious.
Well, because they're serious about it.
They're organized. So when it's that, and when that mindset is in place, you could transition to, you know what? Let's give our people free this because we're gonna make it up in other ways. Who knows? They probably do it in advertising. You never know.
That's called infrastructure investment.
Dunkirk is the largest city in Europe to offer free public transit.
That's real. I can see that working in Dunkirk.
And we got to run it in New Haven. If we could somehow get the money, it's hard to get the money because the state is never going to run a good bus system in New Haven.
They never. But look, this is why I agree with the mayor.
For the people who ride the bus,
they do. They own passengers.
I've talked to people who ran the DOT before, so they couldn't give a damn. The governor didn't give a damn.
You know, a good transit system in this city would elevate this city to world-class status. It really would.
But you have to get the mindset behind it, and that is so crazy how I can't wrap my head around. You know what it's almost like? We want kids to do great and extend and all that, but then we cut all the school budget. It makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense.
Norm, any thoughts about the news that Assistant Chief Luis Casanova is retiring?
Hey.
Oh, really?
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to be chief. Well, he tried to be chief here. He's also applied to be chief in a lot of other towns.
He's like, forget this.
And he didn't get it. One theory is because he sued the mayor of New Haven for not making him chief last time.
And so now everybody's like, ooh.
But other people is that when you apply to other towns, they make it seem like it's an open process, but they really got their inside candidate. So who knows? Yeah. But what'd you think, Norma?
Well, and when you look back, I was just wondering if the mayor kind of was sorry that she chose Campbell, if he was going to, and that she invested in Campbell by naming him chief, if he was going to leave, 2 years after he became chief?
And then shoot for Hamden.
I know. I saw.
Like, what the heck is that?
I was like, what? I'm sorry, what?
Casanova's applying to Hamden, too, as his Rachel Kane and other assistant
I hope
chief.
he gets it.
And Hamden's got an inside person they want. Casanova, I think Casanova or Rachel or Kane or Campbell, I think they'd all be very good chiefs in Hampton.
I know,
exactly
but
what
why?
they
Why
need.
are they
Why?
going to Hampton?
Yes,
Because
why
they get their pension from New Haven,
Yeah,
and
full
they're
pension.
worried, and they're worried about what's
100
going to
and some
happen.
odd thousand
And they're
a year,
worried about the
plus
health
another 100
benefits that
some
are
odd
going to come.
thousand.
They're worried that health benefits are going to be cut because there's been no police contact for 3 years. The chief's health benefits are dependent on what the union gets. And in Hampton, meanwhile, there's a challenge to rebuild the department. You get a second salary. They feel like we've already been through in New Haven what they're going through now in Hampton about how do you get a better chase policy, how do you do a
Wow.
better relationship with the community. I think it's a great challenge.
Man.
And Casanova's
Well,
tough. He
I
can
don't
there,
know.
Bust, really.
Well, he's what
Insistent.
was it? He was very young when he started in the police. I mean, 28 years in the police. No,
He's
23
23 in New
years,
Haven, another
and
5
5 as
Okay.
corrections officer.
as a correctional officer. You're talking about 28 years of policing, and yet he's still very young.
He's only 50,
Yeah, 50. So
Wow.
which all of us in this room say only.
I know. Isn't that something?
So I think he's got
Well,
a
we
good
wish him well,
future
and he
ahead,
settled the
yes.
lawsuit. So now New Haven's going to pay some money, but only about 1/10 of what they thought they could pay.
Okay.
Might end up paying.
All
So
right.
it works. So what about Planet Venus? It wasn't just at the debate where we visited Planet Venus. It was also in the news in the Mill River District by Farnham Courts. So Score Strip Club is finally closing. That was that little part of the big empty clock factory. They want to
And
make it the
now
new
they
affordable housing.
want.
They want to move a few blocks over into an empty building on Wallace Street. And they want to make it a big Vegas-type emporium with strippers and singers and big ballrooms and everything.
What is this? The 1970s?
It's going to be like the 1970s. They need a little zoning relief. And they had a hearing, and only people with force showed up. It's kind of surprised me. They had the strippers. They had, the guy who like goes to the strip club. He came with his name and took his picture. I'm a proud patron.
What's that? Strip clubs are not illegal.
Right.
Well, they have a lot of them in Springfield. in
Have you ever gone to a
Massachusetts.
strip club?
No,
Oh,
I did once.
I've been in there a few times.
I walked into one once.
Not in this decade, but I've been.
And the young lady looked at me she gave me a look, and I just immediately left. It just looked like she's about to empty my wallet. So I was like, oh no, I don't need this in my life.
Well, you know what's
everything
interesting
I
about
love,
this?
that's what happens.
So this place would be 500 feet from Johnson Square Park. So everyone's talking about that too close. Now, under the law, it only has to be 150 feet away from a school or things like that. And it's an industrial area, but it's a block from a homeless shelter.
Do we have problems with? We've had problems with strip clubs being places where people fight or drugs or
Murders, yes, things like that. yes.
Okay.
Including at the Key Club, which is right the same block where Scores went, including a block away at the Catwalk where there's a murder outside there.
Oh boy.
So anyway, it's gonna not a
I
single.
don't like how we make it sound like strip clubs make
Well, they have
create
Gindies.
murders.
Isn't
I mean,
Gindies a strip club? That's still in existence,
West
right?
Haven. Yeah.
No, is it West? Oh yeah, well, New Haven. Kind of.
Okay.
So one thing I've noticed, so there's argument back and forth about this club. Not a single person has mentioned Farnham Courts, Mill River Crossing. That's
Huh?
going to be 2 blocks away.
Oh.
People trying to make that a
Somebody
neighborhood.
don't give a damn about poor people.
That's what I'm saying. No, there are a lot of kids. That,
We don't care. We're
there
used
are a lot
to
of teenage girls. That,
keeping stuff on poor
over.
people. I tell you what. They want to fight. Put it in Westville.
So Paul, did they get the
Chippendale.
approval for it?
The
they're
Chippendales.
probably
Remember
gonna.
when they
It's
were
not,
the
it's not
Palms?
final yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering whether it was kind of a wink and a nod. You're going to get this, and then they dropped the lawsuit. They were holding up the eviction from the clock factory, where they had this one tiny
yeah.
corner of this huge complex that's just been sitting there, and we had our one chance after decades to get the money to clean up the pollution and make it affordable. They're going to make it affordable housing and artist loft. I mean, like, you can't lose with
I
that.
know.
And it almost didn't happen because they were holding it up because they
Okay.
didn't want to be evicted, and even though they didn't have lease anymore. So now they agreed to walk away, and I'm wondering where the city kind of told them, well, we're not going to get in your way. But I don't have any evidence to believe that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we want to be a business friendly city.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's my question. Does it work for all kinds of business?
I probably not, but
Paul, are you going to touch base on this housing that's coming downtown here on Chapel Street,
What's
Marquisha
going on?
Story? At the where the two brothers are building on the both ends of
Now you're
Foot
talking.
Locker?
Joe's talking about the corner of Orange and Chapel, where he crosses the street to walk, but people of other persuasions don't. We talked about that last time. That whole
we did?
block. You did. You talked about when your friend you noticed the white
No,
people.
no,
never
no.
cross the
Yes, yes,
street.
yes. I thought
Yeah.
we were talking about.
No,
we
no,
talked
you're right.
about
There's
this
something new
project.
happened.
that's a lot, though, right?
There's
Isn't
two
it a
lots.
lot?
There are 2 lots because there was a
Yeah.
fire that burned down,
Yeah.
and
The
the
old
other one
Kresge's,
collapsed.
yeah.
So these big commercial buildings from over a century are gone, and the same developer, Paul Dens, is developing both parts of the block. The middle of
Right.
the block already had a project approved with hundreds of apartments, and now he got approved for a site plan to build a storefront on the bottom and a couple dozen apartments above
6
that.
stories. And
6 stories.
6 stories, but here again, we're back to square one as far as it goes to the size of these things. Remember what I said? Families need to move
Right,
away.
they're not family apartments, but
They're
he's saying
not.
this how will make it affordable. He
What,
says
what do you mean
he's
they're not?
talking about. He
They're
says,
not family
he
driven.
says if you're 545 square feet, very small
Oh
apartment.
my God!
But
Is
that
that
way-
this room?
That way, he's saying I could make it $1,200 a month.
No. Those are even smaller.
That's
were about-
affordable?
You
Yeah,
should see. You're about to like jump out of your chair. You don't like this.
No.
No. Oh my, 1,200 for that?
Listen, this is where I'm at with it.
Oh, my
no,
God.
not even. You say
Well,
5.
don't we have apartments on the other end of Orange Street? What about the Audubon people?
That's gonna be thousands a month. Yeah.
We're talking about. You said what was it $400? I mean,
No, the
400 square
smallest
feet.
ones. The smallest one's
That's
545.
540
What
or
is,
so.
what is that? A
And those-
room and a toilet?
Those are not even 1 bedroom. You're right. But I said, like I was saying
Those are
on the
like
show,
what are efficiencies, right?
efficiency,
Yes.
pretty much like that. But what I was saying, if it's going to be 20 feet ceiling, I can see how that can work because you could walk in, you have the bathroom, the kitchen. I don't mean to be an architect here. Bathroom, kitchen, living room, dining room, all on the first floor.
And then put a loft kind
Put
of
a
thing?
loft right over the bathroom and the kitchen. You could put 2 bedrooms up there if you want to, or 2 living spaces. That I can understand.
But it costs money
But
to
then-
build. If you want to be bigger, it's going to cost more to rent downtown. The real estate's expensive. The materials are expensive. The labor is expensive.
So they think that they could make some money doing? I mean, because it's
no.
Downtown
when
housing's
does
been
it
hot.
end? Like, what's the cutoff? Do we have a cutoff? Is
Here's
there a
what-
cutoff?
You know
Here's
who's
what
going to be
we're gonna-
living there?
eventually-
You know who's it's our kids that don't want to move into the suburbs. They're the ones who want to stay
I don't
in
blame them, by the way.
in the city.
I don't blame them. But
listen,
So, and they
there's
don't want
nothing-
big places.
No, it's nothing wrong with not wanting to move into the suburbs and staying in the city, but you still don't want to be living like rats on top of each other. You should be able to have a family of 3 or 4 and live
That's
downtown.
generational. That's generational in
But
terms
the-
of
but
how
people are
much
still
space
having
you
kids
really
in it.
want or you need.
Oh,
You
no.
feel you need.
How much space you really want? I'm telling you. You might start off with just give me 450 square feet or 550
God, I
square
can't
feet.
even.
Yes, just a thought of it. But when you start living, after a while, you want to spread your legs.
like
You
a
That's
wanna
what I was
jet-
spread your
thinking. You
wings.
guys like want to spread your legs when you go home?
I do.
How about your arms?
I mean, geez.
Your wings, huh?
Oh my God, 400.
Well,
I don't even know.
you know,
Oh Lord,
I-
have mercy.
We always have change. New stuff comes up. Old stuff's gone. The new stuff that got approved to come to 660 Whitney, you'll be able to buy
Yep.
chocolate peanut butter bacon
Oh.
pie,
Oh yeah.
vanilla
saw a picture
pear
of that.
bourbon maple pie. There's a
Anything vegan?
I don't know yet.
No.
We'll find
Oh,
out,
okay.
Babs. You know, you and I
I
will
just
find
dropped
out.
41 pounds. I'm not putting not 1
Well,
ounce back on.
Valerie
I'm done.
McKee is
I'm
a
getting ready to
creative,
get back on the market. I'm not playing.
creative writing teacher in Southern Connecticut. Got the approval to open that place. It's going to be called the Town Tart. And something's going to
Town
buy.
Tart. I like that.
I
That's
like
a
that
cute
too.
name.
She's creative, obviously.
I like that's a tongue
And
in
we're
cheek.
saying goodbye to Yuval and Rachel Hamenachem, who own Westville Kosher Market after 34 years.
Yeah.
They're packing up.
Yeah.
So some goodbye to people did a good job, good run.
Yeah.
Hello to the next generation.
Yeah.
Hey.
Listen.
Plus ça change.
Yes. Bonjour. How we walk.
Ooh, someone just came back from France.
Oui,
Someone came
oui.
back from
Listen.
France and will never be the same.
No.
Can we quickly just
Yeah.
highlight where did you go in Paris?
Oh, I was everywhere. I was at the Louvre. I was at the Musée d'Orsay. I was
There
at
you
Eiffel
go.
Tower.
There you go.
I ate vegan. There's
Eh.
nothing like chocolate vegan croissants.
Did you take a ride on the thing?
I went down
On
the
the
Champs-Elysees.
Seine?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Seine?
I walked the Seine.
There you go.
I bought flowers
Oh, that's
And in
And
beautiful.
you hung
end-
out at the Eiffel Tower.
and copious amounts of champagne.
And in the end, landed back on Pundit Friday
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
with the best
Good
pundits
for you,
in the
Babs.
business. Babs Rawls Ivy, Joe Ugly, Norma Rodriguez Reyes, and on the road, Markeisha Ricks.
Markeisha.
Marquisha.
Thanks for listening to folks. Thanks for listening to folks joining us. Thanks to Harry Dross,
Yeah.
the man with the magic behind the scenes, keeping us going.
Yes. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you. Harry jokes. I mean, joke.
Congratulations to Joe Ugly on the
Thank you.
graduation of his
Thank
son
you
from
very
Yale
much.
University.
Thank you.
Yes, very
Thank you.
proud.
We're going to take it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel
to be free.
to Be Free
Mm,
from their CD, A Plea for Peace.
mm.
This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all weekend long here at WNHH, New Haven's home. for Community Radio.